When Leonardo DiCaprio arrives on Vanessa Cross's talk program, the crowd anticipates yet another of his uplifting discussions. However, Vanessa has little interest in simple encouragement. She wants to stir confrontation and lay bare the performer's most defenseless facets. The moment Leonardo settles into his chair, an uneasy sensation takes hold. Vanessa clutches her cue cards with a piercing grin, and what was meant to be a relaxed conversation might explode into something much more dramatic. Unbeknownst to Vanessa, in just a short while, she will be the one left utterly speechless. Whatever Leo shares that night will reshape everything, and no one present will ever forget it. Before we continue with this account, let us know where you are watching from, and if you appreciate narratives like this one, do subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, another special story awaits. The production space is jam-packed, the dazzling stage lamps glaring down on the performance area. In the heart of the grand hall, the crowd hums with eagerness, some waving vibrant signs bearing notes of admiration and gratitude. Certain placards stand out declaring, "Leonardo, you are our inspiration," or "Thank you for being you." Meanwhile, producers and camera operators bustle behind the scenes, signaling that the long-anticipated moment is near. A silent countdown flickers across the monitors dotted around the stage area, the glow of the spotlight sliding over the curtain backdrop, giving the scene a cinematic quality. Then he appears. Leonardo DiCaprio crosses the stage with serene, measured strides. He exudes a distinct magnetism, a modesty separating him from ordinary Hollywood celebrities. Wearing a simple black shirt, a humble blazer, and worn jeans, his entire look reflects a straightforward nature. Dark hair brushes his shoulders, and a gentle smile forms on his lips. Thunderous applause erupts. Some shout his name, while others simply gaze in admiration. There's a soothing, yet profoundly moving quality about him. Leonardo raises his hand in a restrained gesture of appreciation before sitting in the main chair at center stage, making himself comfortable with practiced ease. Excitement, mingled with a kind of reverence, permeates the atmosphere. Opposite him, with a rigid stance, sits Vanessa Cross, a well-known reporter revered for her incisive questioning and cutting style. Her show has gained fame for unearthing vulnerabilities, wrenching forth awkward truths, and at times, shattering reputations. Clad in a fitted blazer, hair impeccably swept back, Vanessa holds a thick batch of question cards in a confident grip. Her stare is analytical, almost predatory. Her lips twitch into a half-smile, weaving a veneer of professionalism with a hint of provocation. She watches Leonardo for several seconds before leaning forward, her voice pointed and controlled as she launches her opening query. "Leonardo, you possess fame and wealth. You could live like royalty, yet you choose public transit, donate millions, and shun any display of luxury. Does that truly change anything in this world?" A hush settles momentarily across the crowd. Soft murmurs ripple here and there. Some individuals look concerned by the provocative framing of her question. Others wait impatiently for Leonardo's reply. But he appears unruffled, body language easy as he reflects briefly. Then he looks at Vanessa with a gentle smile. "Vanessa, have you ever thought about how many people feel invisible on a daily basis?" An almost palpable weight presses down on the space, the audience growing still. Faces shift in reaction to the humility and depth of his remark. Vanessa arches an eyebrow, somewhat taken aback that Leonardo warded off her challenge so effortlessly, retaining his poise. Nevertheless, she isn't finished. Flipping to the next card, she turns it over in her fingers, her eyes shining with an unyielding edge. She still holds a decisive card she plans to use. Leaning in a bit more, she readies herself to ask the question she's sure will unsteady Leonardo once and for all. But Vanessa has not fired her hardest question yet, one targeting the most painful chapters of Leonardo's history. The production space, earlier animated and expectant, is now heavy with tension. His last response carried more impact than anyone foresaw. A few in the crowd exchange glances, others fold their hands pondering his words. Vanessa Cross refuses to be placated, however. Crossing her legs with cool grace, she curves her lips into a subtle grin, her eyes reflecting a merciless purpose. Letting the next query card land on the table, she pauses for effect before finally hurling her question. "Leonardo, you lost your fiancé, your child, your closest friend. Didn't that shatter you? Don't you think that ultimately everything just equals suffering? The question strikes with intense force. The crowd collectively gasps. A few cover their mouths, disturbed by the raw insensitivity of the inquiry. Others furrow their brows at the blatant harshness of Vanessa's approach. Leonardo bows his head slightly, fingers woven together over his knees. And for an instant, the entire production space is engulfed in silence. Cameras focus on his face. His gaze, usually calm, reveals a deeper current. An ocean of memories, loss, and unutterable sorrow. Vanessa watches intently, looking for even a moment's hesitation, the slightest opening of vulnerability. Then Leonardo lifts his head, breathes in, and speaks evenly. Pain has never destroyed me. It taught me. It taught me that nothing is permanent, that each moment is priceless, and that genuine love never disappears. Silence engulfs the space. A few eyes shine with unshed tears. Someone in the front row discreetly dabs at her face with a tissue. Even those unfamiliar with his personal trials recognize the undeniable truth in his words. The camera pans to Vanessa. She looks off-kilter for the first time. Her once confident grin flickers, shifting into surprise and maybe a trace of remorse. Still, she's not one to yield. Straightening her back, she hides any flicker of uncertainty, smoothing her fingertips along the question cards. Her next move is planned. She aims to strike Leonardo where he least anticipates it, but Vanessa will not surrender yet. She has one final ruse intended to expose Leonardo's Achilles heel, potentially rendering him obsolete in Hollywood's eyes. The air remains charged from what just transpired. The crowd is quieter, as many still contemplate Leonardo's words. Yet, Vanessa Cross has no thought of stopping. She straightens her posture, reclaims her confident smile, and methodically reviews the cards in her grasp, as if selecting her next line of attack. But she already knows her next question perfectly. Leaning in, eyes narrowed like a hunter, her tone shifts, still direct, but more calculated, akin to a cunning snare. Leonardo, you've crossed the 50 mark. Hollywood doesn't want performers your age. Are you afraid you'll be forgotten? The crowd responds instantly. Quiet murmurs, disapproval, and unease ripple through them at her bluntness. Leonardo does not answer at once. He gently taps his fingertips together, his stare drifting briefly, as though his mind is far away in a place only he can see. Vanessa notes his pause, inwardly pleased. This is the moment she's been waiting for. Then, Leonardo raises his gaze, meeting hers directly. His expression calm, but weighted with unexpected gravity. "Vanessa," he asks, "have you ever watched a sunset?" She blinks, momentarily disarmed. Confusion stirs among the onlookers as well, who find the response surprising. Leonardo continues, voice soft, yet resonant with meaning. "A sunset is mesmerizing, but have you ever heard someone call it pointless just because nightfall is on its way?" Thunderous applause bursts forth, roars of approval echoing throughout the crowd. "Yes, bravo, Leonardo, you're astounding." Vanessa finds herself frozen, losing her grip on the interview. Her rehearsed smile collapses, replaced by an expression that fuses astonishment with a glimmer of esteem. Leonardo has not attacked her, not retaliated in anger. He has merely flipped the query back, answering in a manner so moving and irrefutable that, for a brief instant, the framework of the interview disintegrates. Vanessa exhales, seeking to regain some measure of control. She glances at her cards and realizes she must adopt a new strategy. Her attempt to shake Leonardo has failed so far. If he won't fear being disregarded, perhaps another angle might. She decides to probe his upbringing next. Sensing the interview slipping beyond her grip, Vanessa Cross decides to wield Leonardo's past as a weapon. She hopes to tap into old wounds to unsettle him. The crowd remains animated from his last statement. People who had been divided between applauding and murmuring now regard him with heightened respect. He hasn't merely handled each jab calmly, he has elevated every provocation into a contemplative moment. But Vanessa isn't done. She's built a career on cornering famous figures, not on uplifting them. She wants to regain control of the show. She flips to the subsequent question card, pausing for a beat, as if carefully weighing every word. But in truth, her mind is fixed on how to land a strike. Leaning in, her voice rings out firmly, cold at its edges. "Leonardo, you grew up without a father figure. while your mother struggled to make ends meet. Did that never make you bitter? A jitter of apprehension ripples among the crowd. Some scowl, realizing that Vanessa seeks to resurrect a painful chapter. But Leonardo seems neither rattled nor unprepared. He inhales deeply, casting his eyes somewhere distant, as though revisiting childhood images locked away in memory. After a thoughtful pause, a hint of a smile graces his face. "My father taught me something precious," he says. Vanessa blinks, plainly thrown off. This is not the reaction she expected. Leonardo meets her eyes and goes on. "He showed me what sort of man I must never become. My mother taught me how to endure." A hush falls over the production space. Someone near the front chokes back a small sob, and a few exchange glances, moved by his simple yet stirring explanation. For a fleeting instant, Vanessa wavers. This interview, planned as a power move under her deft control, isn't unfolding according to her script. Leonardo isn't lashing out or making excuses. Instead, each sharp query is repurposed into a wisdom-laden testament. Vanessa lingers, flipping her cards again, her fingertips gliding over them. She can see her tactics faltering. Still, she clings to one last move. Locking eyes with Leonardo, her previous faint smirk replaced by a brooding resolve, she sets her sights on a final question to confront his most primal fear: his own mortality. The environment in the production space crackles with an indescribable energy. The spectators are no longer just an audience watching an interview. They're privy to a genuine exploration, something far deeper. Leonardo DiCaprio has withstood every question with an almost contemplative composure, morphing pointed queries into reflections that leave the entire crowd in hushed amazement. But Vanessa Cross has one card left to play. Every carefully sharpened line, every psychological gambit has so far failed to rattle him. She adjusts her blazer, shoulders squared, her expression taut. Over years of conducting revealing interviews, she has gained a reputation for pushing subjects further than they are ready to go. Now, with Leonardo in front of her, she feels an unfamiliar surge of irritation. Not because he's ignoring her game, but because he's overturning it. All her plans to expose the cracks in his demeanor, his humility, have instead uncovered something else, a depth that challenges even her own outlook. Vanessa leans forward again, but the showy snark is gone from her face. She speaks quietly, though with an underlying chill. "Leonardo, don't you fear what lies ahead? Do you ever think about the moment when your time ends?" A tremor of stillness ripples through the production space. This question veers from career concerns or Hollywood gossip. It strikes at the one issue no one can escape. Leonardo tips his head slightly, not answering right away. He neither laughs nor tries to steer the conversation elsewhere. He breathes deliberately, his expression unreadable. The pause extends. Vanessa feels her own breath catch. The entire crowd leans in, rapt. At last, he speaks. "Vanessa, do you understand the distinction between fear and faith?" She appears momentarily unsettled, pressing her lips together as though struggling for a quick retort. This is not what she anticipated. Deflection, defensiveness, or a canned response. Yes, but not this. For the first time, she seems unsure of her usual swift-cutting follow-up. Lowering her eyes to the question cards, she flips through them, searching for something that might help her wrest the upper hand once more, yet everything she meticulously planned feels hollow now. This is no typical confrontation. Leonardo has transformed the very nature of the interview into a broader discourse on life's significance. Still holding the cards, Vanessa recognizes a single final question she's never asked but must pose. She gazes up, her voice reduced nearly to a whisper. "And what if nobody remembers you after you're gone?" The words plunge into the silence like a stone dropped into deep water. The entire crowd seems to hold its collective breath. This final question is designed to unravel a person, confront them with their deepest dread: oblivion. But Leonardo doesn't recoil. Instead, he offers a gentle smile, neither smug nor artificial. It suggests a depth of insight. He speaks calmly. "The question isn't whether they'll remember me. The real question is, what will they remember about you?" An abrupt wave stirs the crowd, soft gasps, followed by absolute stillness. Several exchange stunned looks, absorbing the gravity of his statement. For the first time, the camera zeroes in on Vanessa, who has at last been unseated from her usual role. The woman who made her name dissecting famous individuals, exposing their frailties, is now silent. Her lips part slightly, but no words arrive. Her hands tighten around the note cards, though she doesn't glance down, as if she knows they contain nothing that could rescue her from this moment. A hush lingers, and then, to everyone's surprise, a solitary tear slides down Vanessa's cheek. She lets it remain, making no effort to hide it. The cameras record each nuance of her expression, her fragile swallow, her altered breathing, as if a massive weight has settled upon her. Leonardo observes her not with satisfaction or conceit, but with a profound empathy. He rises. The crowd's boisterous applause has vanished, replaced by stillness and introspection. Some dab at their eyes, others stare off in contemplation. Vanessa Cross remains in her seat, unmoving. The cards, once her instruments of authority, now lying useless on the table in front of her. The cameras continue rolling. The world is still watching, yet she no longer cares about the public, the ratings, or the headlines that will surely follow. She only hears an echo of Leonardo's words in her mind. The question isn't what they will remember about me. The question is what they will remember about you. Gazing into her own faint reflection in the glossy tabletop, she recalls how many years she's spent wielding scathing queries and unwavering scrutiny, believing these to be her source of strength. The screen goes black. Then, a final statement. Life isn't measured by its duration, but by the difference we make. Soft, reflective music drifts in the background as the video concludes. If this story resonated with you, please like, comment, and share.